This video will provide some light on 4 different topics. Many of you guys don't seem to have a good grasp on the fundamental differences that exist between men and women. You will gain a better understanding of a few ideas that you may have had trouble grasping before reading this. Before I get started on these 4 things, because some of them are going to be a little shocking, maybe surprising for some of you, I want to make a point of saying that before I get started, these are not here to reaffirm any bad quitter beliefs, such as the belief that this is the reason why you should absolutely avoid women in relationships. I want to stress the significance of the fact that the purpose of these 4 lessons that you are going to learn in this video is so that you can learn them, accept them, and go on with your life. First and foremost, one of the most significant differences between men and women is that both sexes typically struggle with acceptance to some degree. It's true that when it comes to women, we're more interested in their history than anything else. Women, in contrast to men, seem to be more concerned about where our species is headed in the future. They are not overly bothered with the fact that you have 150 notches on your instrument. They do not place a great deal of importance on it. Women, on the other hand, are more concerned with the futures of men than they are with their own. This is one of the reasons why it can be almost desired for women to learn that men have had some experience and that they understand the dynamics that exist between men and women. How well do you believe you will be able to provision and prepare for the future? Can you make it rain? Do you know how to establish a bank? Do you consider yourself a capable someone who is able to get things done? Are you the type of person that gives up when obstacles arise in their lives? Women like to know that the man they are with is powerful, capable of making it rain, of getting things done, of solving problems, and of having competent skills. It has always been like that throughout history, and it will continue to be like that in the future as well. There is no way that could ever be different. It does not matter how much of the feminist brainwashing narrative we all take in from our culture, which seeks to level the playing field and make it an egalitarian layout where men and women are identical. This does not work. That's not us. We are very diverse from one another, and it is reasonable for you to be concerned about the history of the woman you are dating. The vast majority of you guys out there either want to enter into some form of committed relationship with a woman, or you want to improve the quality of your interactions with women. Some of you men continue to make a very poor decision by permitting or inviting troubles into your lives. Women that have issues will come into your life, and she has been around the block more than once. What do you think, guys? It's going to be tough for her to give you her undivided attention for an extended period of time. There have been a number of research conducted on this topic, and the findings have shown that men and women who have had a lot of experience in intimate relationships have very different perspectives on the topic. You have to be conscious of it once again. Therefore, to condense that idea into a single point, the first takeaway is that women are more concerned about the future of men. The history of this woman ought to be of greater importance to men. If they are considering bringing that woman into their lives on a more intimate basis and are conducting an assessment of her for the future, then this is a red flag, the second point, and this is going to be a big pill for some of the girls to swallow. And I think some of you guys might already understand this notion, but I feel like some of you really don't comprehend the relevance of the second point. It's the fact that today's women have an unduly entitled feeling of self-worth that is not even close to being in alignment with their reality. I'll illustrate this point with a really nice example. I do book consultations with different women from time to time. There are instances when individuals email me requests to produce films on something that they're having trouble with, and I had one such request just the other day from a woman who was in her late 30s. She was successful in terms of financial gain. At the job that she was doing, she was bringing in over $30,000 each and every month. She might be proud of her accomplishments. She came to the conclusion that she had deciphered the company of one working for herself, transmitting information and making some money at it, and once more she'd done rather well at it. However, there is a catch. She is in her late 30s and almost 40 years old. In point of fact, she was a mother to 2 kids, one of which she had earlier this year. So she is essentially a mother to a newborn, and the other kid appears to be somewhere between the ages of 3 and 4. And she was to me like an older woman. I am looking for a male, and I need your assistance in finding one. I was raised by a single parent, and here is my tale. Even though I have a good income, I'm looking for an alpha male who is both more successful than I am financially and more knowledgeable than I am. Now, this is hardly something that can be said to be very novel. You would believe that this is the first time that something like this has come up, or that I've never heard of this before, but in reality, it happens fairly frequently. She did not have an accurate perception of the worth that she possessed on the structural market. In her younger years, she was known to be quite attractive. Because she wanted me to learn more about her, she provided a link to her social feed so that I could investigate who she was. She had been a beautiful woman in her earlier years, but after 2 children, a marriage, and who knows what else led up to it, her features have greatly degraded. Despite this, she was at the stage in her life where she felt entitled to something, since she had a baby and a young child. However, she believed that she was entitled to a higher value guy than the one who had abandoned her for another woman who already had children. She expected the new guy to have a greater income than she did, and also to be an alpha male. I'm going to tell you the truth. There is no man out there around her age bracket, because it is really around that age bracket that she is really going to have any opportunities that would be willing to take on the burden of another man's children, take on the burden of dealing with all of the drama that is tied around that for a woman that is nowhere near the peak of her love-making marketplace value. There is no man out there around her age bracket, because it is really around that age bracket that she is really going to have any opportunities that would be willing to take on the burden of. Between the ages of 22 and 23, women reach their prime. After that, their quality begins to deteriorate. On the other hand, men have the potential to reach their full potential considerably later on in their lives. Let's imagine they are in their late 30s or even later, and depending on how well they take care of themselves, they may be getting closer to 40. However, there is a significant gap between this reality and the self-belief that women have regarding the value of their love-making contributions in the marketplace. Simply put, it's due to the fact that they've been showered with unpaid attention throughout their whole lives, most often from lustful betas and males who just kind of hurl it at them repeatedly. Women in today's society have an inflated sense of entitlement regarding their self-worth, and a conviction that they are worth substantially more than what their actual value is in the marketplace. This was a wake-up call for me because it made me realize how difficult it is for women to embrace the possibility that they will run into an obstacle at some point in their lives. There is typically a point in time when they understand that I must adjust the standards that I have set for them. I need to have a more realistic measure of my worth out there because it's a brutal and unforgiving reality that women have a hard time accepting, but men need to be able to comprehend it. There is a low probability that females will ever wish to accept it. Number 3. And it should come as no surprise that there is not a good girl in this scenario. The only thing that differentiates good girls from terrible ladies is the fact that the bad girls have been apprehended. They haven't been able to catch the nice girls yet, or else they haven't been able to reveal them. If every woman has at least some trouble in her history, then the situation is far more dire than it already is. The main distinction is that the virtuous girls have some secrets to hide in the form of stories. What are the stories that are being used to cover everything up? You should be aware that when you start dating, a lot of males will approach it from the perspective of a market for making love, so just keep that in mind. Simply put, all I care about is finding a good one, which is the worst possible way to go about it. After all of these waves of feminism have changed the love-making marketplace for what it truly is, You need to look at women in the love-making marketplace now in the modern world. The fourth and final point is that there are going to be some women who do not like it when I expose this. And there are going to be some men for whom this is going to be a difficult pill to swallow. The fourth reason is that you are most likely not her first pick. There is this idea known as the alpha widow, and let me to summarize it for you in this manner. I'm going to recount the event for you in its entirety. There was a person who I was mentoring at one point who was going through some challenges at the time. Trying to get over someone, specifically this female who he had an unhealthy attachment to. He is currently going through this process. After maybe 4 or 5 weeks of dating, I believe it was about that long. Because he desired an exclusive relationship with her, he brought up our current situation, and I can't tell you how many times I've told the guys that this is something that women should bring up. When men bring up where we stand chatting, it's almost never a good move on their part. However, let's put that thought out of our minds for the time being. Therefore, he brings up the topic of where we remain on top. She is willing to give him her undivided attention. He is under the impression that everything is well and dandy, yet he continues to have an unsettling tingling feeling that indicates there is an issue. The voice of his intuitions speaking to him. Guys, you must listen to your intuition. Because it does talk to you and it picks up on you. It is a really essential component of being successful in the world as a man. In any case, let's get back to the tale. One day, we find her while she's showering. This takes place in the morning. He makes the decision to go to her laptop and look at her emails. And he finds there an email from the week before, literally 2 days after he had the talk with her about how they would commit to each other. And he finds there that she sent this email to this guy that she was dating recently that had dumped her. And this is what an alpha widow is. However, this is the information that was found out by him. They won't tell you that I'm an alpha widow. She writes an email to the guy, appealing with him to reconsider breaking up with her and getting back together with her. They would make a beautiful pair if they were together. By the way, both of them were in their 30s at the time. I believe that he was between the ages of 34 and 35, and that she was probably around 31 or so, which is a few years younger. However, she was practically pleading with this guy that please let's get back together. We would be blessed with lovely offspring. I have achieved a lot of success. You contribute something to the discussion. If only we could be together, that would be an incredible experience. This shattered his heart because it had only been a few days since they had the conversation about their long-term relationship, and she had just made that commitment to him. You need to have an understanding that the majority of the time, many men enter into long-term relationships with women in which they are not the woman's first choice. My advice to you, gentlemen, on this fourth point, is that you should never, ever waste your time in a relationship with a woman in which you are not the woman's first choice. You are never going to get her best. She is doomed to spend her entire life hankering after another man. You will go through a process of betarization during the course of that relationship, which will involve making 1,000 concessions, which will, in the end, make her find you absolutely unappealing. It is highly likely that she will cheat on you or leave you at some point in the future. Therefore, I'm going to end this discussion with those 4 ideas. This is a video that should not be overlooked in any way. I want you to grow as a result of the experiences you've had. I don't want you to have a bitter attitude toward the world. I don't want you to think that because of this, you didn't bother with women. Please don't think that. You now have enough knowledge to see that this is simply how the world actually is. That's all for today, guys. If you found value in this video, don't forget to smash the like and subscribe button to get more dope content like this. Till next time.